What is up, guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? This is your friendly neighborhood Muzzafuzza here, and we're playing some more Diablo 3 beta today. I'm on my level 13 Barbarian. You guys can check out his stats here. I'm level 13. I've got 140 attack, 53.82 DPS with my basic attacks. This guy is really well geared. He's kind of a badass. And we're going to go to my Nephalem altar, which is where you can change your skills in this game. I've got 4 skills because I am over level 12. You get a 5th skill at level 18 and a 6th skill at level 24, and then you got your passive skills down here, which you get one at level 10, another one at level 20, and then another one at level 30. So I only have 4 out of 6 total skills that you do get when you are leveled up in this game, but I'm not quite level 24, and you can't get to level 24 in the beta, so we're only going to have 4 active skills to play with. But today I want to do a active skills guide for the Barbarian, and I will be doing a guide for active skills, passive skills, and all sorts of informational stuff for each of the 5 individual classes in this game: the Barbarian, the Demon Hunter, the Witch Doctor, the Wizard, and the Monk. So let's start with Barbarian, and let's start with my 4 skills. You can see I've got my 4 skills hotbarred down here. On my hotbar I've got Ignore Pain, Bash, Leap Attack, and Ground Stomp, and I will show you guys those 4 attacks right now. We've got Ignore Pain, which brings up a cool little shield and causes you to reduce all damage taken by 65% for 5 seconds. I've got Bash, which is a basic attack. This is kind of an attack you can spam. It's a Fury generator. I've got Leaping Attack, which is really cool, where you fly through the air like this. Boom! And then lastly, I've got, I think it's called, Ground Stomp. I was going to call it Earthquake. But you just stomp the ground, and this is also a Fury generator that does 70% weapon damage to all enemies within 12 yards and stuns them for 3 seconds. Boom! So that's a cool stun. It's one of my favorite attacks with the Barbarian. Now let's take a look at all of the active skills within the Barbarian and discuss them as we go along. Alrighty guys, we are at the Nephalem altar, and we're going to go over each of the individual Barbarian skills, the active skills anyway. So you've got, when you click over here, it opens up a little tab that says Actives, as you can see. And we've got 3 different trees of skills. We've got Fury Generator at the top, which is like this. We've got Fury Spender in the middle, which are these. And then we've got Situational at the bottom, which are these. We've got 8 Fury Generator skills, 8 Fury Spender skills, and then we've got 6 situationals. And you can tell the ones that I don't have unlocked yet because they're blacked out, they're darkened, and they also have a little red number which tells you what level I'm going to unlock them. And with every class in this game, there are 3 different trees. For the Barbarian, it's Fury Generator, Fury Spender, and Situational. But other classes have 3 different trees as well, and they all tend to balance each other out. Like these skills at the top generate Fury, these skills here spend Fury, and these skills are just situational, and I guess a couple of them do cost Fury. And then Fury for Barbarians is what's generated when the Barbarian uses Fury generators or takes damage, and Fury is used for more powerful Barbarian attacks. So the Barbarian doesn't use mana or hatred or any of the other stuff in this game. And we're just going to go over all the different active skills for the Barbarian in order, starting from the top. So let's start in the Fury Generator tree. The first skill in the Fury Generator tree is Bash. Bash generates 6 Fury per attack, and it says brutally smash an enemy for 145% weapon damage with a 20% chance to knock the enemy back. And to be honest, I liked Bash in the beginning when I was leveling up. I used it a lot, but as I got further and further, other skills become more useful, and a knockback really isn't too useful. Knockbacks in the game just send enemies flying backwards. It's good for getting enemies off you, but it has no real use for doing damage. Second attack is Cleave, generate 5 Fury per attack, swing in a wide arc to deal 115% weapon damage to all enemies caught in the swing. So that's just kind of a big cleave in front of you for 115% weapon damage. The third one in the Fury Generator tree is Leap Attack. Leap Attack generates 15 Fury. It's got a 10-second cooldown, which means once you use it, you can't use it again for 10 seconds, if you guys aren't familiar with cooldowns. And it says leap into the air, dealing 70% weapon damage to all enemies within 8 yards of your destination. And I like using this one just because it's fun. It's not really that great for damage, but it is fun to be able to jump all over the place. And you can even leap attack downstairs and over barriers. So like if there's like a downstairs area to a dungeon, you can leap attack all the way from the top to the bottom over the barrier, which is kind of cool. So leap attack is one of my favorites. But then moving on to the 4th one in the Fury Generator tree, which is Ground Stomp. Ground Stomp generates 15 Fury. It's got a 12-second cooldown. Shake the ground to inflict 70% weapon damage to all enemies within 12 yards and stun them for 3 seconds. Now this is really useful. I love Ground Stomp because having a stun is really good. Moving on to the fifth one, Frenzy. Generate 3 Fury per attack. Swing for 100% weapon damage. Frenzy attack speed increases by 15% with each swing. This effect can stack up to 5 times for a total bonus of 75% attack speed. So if you are using Frenzy, you'll generate a bunch of Fury and you'll have a really high attack speed because your attack speed will go up by 75% once you get 5 stacks of that. I don't really use Frenzy too much because it's kind of weak sauce, but to each his own. And finally, moving up to this one, which is level 14 required, which I've never used any of these skills. War Cry. Generate 30 Fury, cooldown 30 seconds, unleash a rallying cry to increase the armor of you and all allies within 30 yards by 100% for 60 seconds. So it basically doubles you and your allies' armor for 60 seconds. Furious Charge. Generates 15 Fury, cooldown 10 seconds, rush forward, knocking back enemies and inflicting 100% weapon damage to enemies at the destination and 60% weapon damage to enemies along the path of the charge. So that's pretty cool. It hurts enemies along the path for 60%, and whoever you hit does 100% weapon damage. So that's kind of cool. And the final skill, the final active skill in the Fury generator tree is Ancient Spear. Now this one is awesome. It generates 15 Fury. It's got a 10-second cooldown. Throw a spear to pull an enemy back to you, briefly slowing the target's movement speed by 50% and dealing 100% weapon damage. So you can pull targets to you with this Ancient Spear attack, which is pretty badass. Moving on to the Fury Spender tree, which these ones do a lot more damage because they actually cost Fury in order to use. The first one is called Hammer of the Ancients. This is awesome. I wish I could show it to you guys right now. I will have it in some of my other Barbarian videos, so if you guys want to watch my other Diablo 3 beta videos, they are all together in a playlist, which you can check out the link to in the description below. This costs 20 Fury. Call forth a massive hammer to smash enemies directly in front of you for 180% weapon damage. Hammer of the Ancients also has a 15% chance, increased chance to critical hit. So it's 180% weapon damage, and it's got a more 15% more chance to crit, which is good because crits do a lot more damage. Moving on to Threatening Shout, costs 20 Fury. Shout with great ferocity, reducing damage done by enemies within 25 yards by 50% for 15 seconds. So that just makes it so people don't do as much damage to you for a little bit. Battle Rage. Costs 20 Fury. Enter a rage which increases damage by 20% and critical hit chance by 4% for 30 seconds. So that's just a cool shout. Just like this shout, Threatening Shout, it's kind of another shout. This one is more offensive than defensive. Weapon Throw costs 10 Fury. Hurl a throwing weapon at an enemy for 180% weapon damage and slow the movement of the enemy by 70% for 4 seconds. So you can hit people from far away, do 180% weapon damage, which is the same amount as Hammer of the Ancients, and it's a ranged attack for Barbarian, which is pretty good, and also slow the movement speed of whoever you hit by 70% for 4 seconds. Moving on to Rend. By the way, that weapon throw, that sounds like a good attack for PvP. Not so good of an attack for PvE, because you're going to want more AoE elements for PvE. You're going to want to do a lot of damage to a lot of different enemies if you're doing dungeons, but seems like something that would be useful for attacking other players, because there is going to be an arena PvP system to this game. Moving on to Rend. Costs 20 Fury, a sweeping strike that damages all nearby enemies and causes them to bleed for 210% weapon damage as physical for over 3 seconds. So it's kind of a damage over time or a DOT, but it does 210% weapon damage, which is awesome. That's a high amount of damage. Moving on to Seismic Slam, which I don't quite have yet. You unlock it at level 19. Costs 30 Fury. Slam the ground and cause a wave of destruction that deals 230% weapon damage and knocks back targets in a 45-yard arc, which is kind of cool. So that's an arc in front of you, I'm guessing. 230% weapon damage is a high amount of damage and also does a knockback. So that's Seismic Slam. Moving on to Sprint, you unlock it at level 24, and it increases movement speed by 40% for 6 seconds for only 20 Fury. That's pretty badass that warriors in this game, or barbarians rather, get Sprint. I'm used to Sprint being on other types of classes, but in this game, barbarians get Sprint, which is pretty cool. And the final active skill in Fury Spender is Whirlwind, which I knew they would have a Whirlwind attack in this game. Knowing Blizzard, they got to put in a Whirlwind. You unlock it at level 27. It costs 16 Fury, and it says delivers multiple attacks to everything in your path for 110% weapon damage. So obviously you're going to be spinning around with your big-ass weapon, doing a bunch of damage to a bunch of different enemies. And moving on to the final tree for the Barbarian for active skills is Situational. And the first one is called Ignore Pain. Cooldown is 60 seconds. Reduces all damage taken by 65% for 5 seconds. And I'll show you guys this skill right now. That's Ignore Pain. Puts up a big shield. causes you to not take as much damage. Moving on to the second situational skill, Revenge. Revenge has a 15% chance to become active each time you're hit. Inflicts 150% weapon damage to all nearby enemies. You heal 5.0% of your maximum life for each enemy hit. So when you hit people, you heal. It's got kind of a lifesteal element to it. It also does 150% weapon damage, and it's not a skill that you can just use. It's a skill that activates on its own. So it's just something that you put on, and then when you are hit, it has a 15% chance to activate and do damage and lifesteal. Moving on to Overpower, which you unlock at level 18, deals 150% weapon damage to all targets within 9 yards. If Overpower crits or critical hits, the cooldown on it is automatically reset. So you can basically use Overpower over and over and over again if it crits. If not, it's got a 15-second cooldown, and you unlock that at level 18. Moving right along to Earthquake. I knew he had an Earthquake skill. That is awesome. Costs 50 Fury. It's got a 2-minute cooldown, 120-second cooldown. Shakes the ground violently, dealing 1,200% weapon damage as fire damage over 8 seconds to all enemies within 18 yards. So that's a big area of effect or AoE attack. Does 1,200% weapon damage, which is huge. That would be a shitload of damage. It's got a 2-minute cooldown. But it's pretty badass. That's going to be one of my favorite skills for the Barbarian, and you unlock that at level 21. Moving on to the last two, we've got Call of the Ancients at level 25. You unlock it. Also costs 50 Fury. It's also got a 2-minute cooldown, and you summon the Ancient Barbarians Talik, Korlik, and Madok to inflict 100% weapon damage for each attack as they join the battle for 15 seconds. Talik wields a sword and shield and uses the Whirlwind skill. Korlik wields a massive pole arm and uses the Cleave skill, and Madok dual wields axes and uses the Weapon Throw skill. So you get that at level 25, you summon 3 Barbarian badasses to kick ass along your side, and that sounds really awesome as well. So these situationals sound like the most fun. Moving on to the final active skill for the Barbarian, you unlock it at level 29, and it is Wrath of the Berserker. It also costs 50 Fury, it's also got a 2-minute cooldown. Enter a Berserker Rage, which raises several attributes for 15 seconds. It increases your critical hit chance by 10%, it increases your attack speed by 45%, your dodge chance by 20%, and your movement speed by 20%. So it's basically just like a huge buff to all your skills, all your traits, all your abilities. And that is the last skill. So I hope you guys liked this guide. This was my active skills guide for the Barbarian. I'm also going to be doing a passive skills guide for all the other classes in this game as well, along with an active skills guide for all the classes in this game as well. So lots of guides coming up for Diablo 3. Going to be playing the beta quite a lot and putting out lots of videos on the beta until the full game comes out sometime, hopefully soon this year. If you guys like the video, leave me a like, maybe add to favorites. Any support you can show on the video about liking, favoriting, commenting, sharing it with your friends, whatever you can do to support the video, I would appreciate it. If you guys want to hit me up on Facebook or Twitter, you can like my Facebook page or follow me on Twitter. The links are down below in the description of this video. And this is it, guys. I hope you guys liked this video. This has been Muzzafuzza, and I will see you guys later. Leaping Strike, Ground Stomp, Bash, Ignore Pain. End of video.